Greetings and welcome to the Beers and Bodyslams podcast. Sitting across from me is the dark chocolate casing to my moon pie of love, good old JB.
And sitting to my left is my venti vanilla latte, Mr. Fluffy.
And sitting across from me is my deep fried Twinkie I get at the state fair, Irish.
That one got me.
Why did that one get you? Of all the things I've said,
It's a long history between me and Mrs. Irish. That was pretty good.
All right, there we go.
We have got a great show for you today. Now, it's our Monday show, which is usually more of an entertainment. We're just having a good time.
Soapbox show.
It's our soapbox show. We're not going to talk about pay-per-views that we're reviewing or predicting that, Fluffy would probably not win on anyway. We're not going to be talking about reviews from Raw or SmackDown Live. This is where we get to talk about certain topics. This is our topic show.
That's right.
And today we're going to be talking about pay-per-views that we would like to see brought back. Pay-per-views that we love, that we used to love, that we would like to see brought back, changed, maybe updated, maybe even made that much better.
Yeah, that's right.
Plus, we also have a very special guest in studio with us, and I got to tell you, we have an incredible beer that we're going to share with you when we come right
back.
Awesome!
This is the Beers and Bodyslams podcast.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
With your host, Mr. Fluffy.
Hello, ladies.
Good old JB.
Booty-O's! They make sure you ain't booty.
And the Irish O'Leary.
There's only one word to describe you, and I'm gonna spell it out for you. A-A-W-S-T!
This is the only podcast bringing you craft beer and pro wrestling that really matters.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, D-Generation X proudly brings to you its WWF Tag Team Champion of the World, the Road Dogg Jesse James, the Badass Billy Gunn, the New.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
All right, Fluffy, why don't you tell everybody what we are consuming?
Well, I'm not going to do that. We're going to have Brian from Goose Island Beer Company who's going to introduce what is probably one of my favorite beers we've had on the show, period. I'm in love with this thing.
Right on.
It's amazing.
I'm back.
He's back.
I'm going to stay in the corner and just be on every show.
That's fine. No,
That'd be great. No,
that's fine.
Cool. So what we have right now, this is a 2015 Bourbon County brand stout. So this is our Finn Balor finishing move, coup de grace.
Oh,
nice one.
That was pretty.
of our portfolio. This beer was originated back in 1992. John Hall, his son Greg Hall, took over as brewmaster, and he's the guy that came up with the vintage portfolio, the Sylph we sampled the last time. He also came up with this beer, and this beer was a beer that really wasn't supposed to be brewed, but except for once. It was for our 1000th celebration beer for Clybourne Brew Pub, but he happened to acquire 4 bourbon barrels from Jim Beam that he met the representatives at a conference. So he took this Russian Imperial Stout and he put it into as an experiment, put it in these barrels, see what happens. Big stout. Started off at around like 10.2% when it started. So that came out after a 3-month aging period for our celebration. Went over super fantastic with all the people that came for that party. He got some more barrels, tried it again, started aging 6 months, 8 months, come out to a year. Seemed to be the right time for this aging process of this stout. We entered it into the Great American Beer Festival. I think it was in 1995 in Russian Imperial Stout category. This beer people were going crazy over it, picking up notes that aren't normally in that style of beer. Coconut, coffee, some dark chocolates, and people were just going nuts. The beer was disqualified from competition because it didn't fit the flavor profile of that style of beer.
Boo.
Fascists.
Right. The next year,
Elitists.
the next few years, was a category for bourbon barrel aging beers. We were the pioneers in the style of the craft of this style. No one was doing it before us that we know of. And so we started the craze. So this is our original variant. This is the one we get the most of on a yield. It will come out every year on Black Friday. We have a big, kind of release party somewhere and have a place where you'll have in Chicago at Benny's, there's a line of over 1,000 people waiting outside.
I would wait for this beer.
Yeah. So to get that and the variants of coffee and barley wine, the proprietors, this was a Chicago only, a rye variant. So this is the one, other breweries have their big, like Cigar City with Hunapu Day, and this is ours, our big boy. That
Like Funky's
extremely
bacon maple
Bacon
coffee.
Porter, yeah, in their last note.
Absolutely.
What I like about a beer like this is number one, it's got love in it. You can feel it, but it's been aged. And I look at it like it's like a fine cognac or a fine liquor. Like you wouldn't chug this beer. You share this beer. It goes in a sifter.
13.7%, my friend.
But it's even then, you just sip it. And I know, and I'm assuming as we talk for the next 45 minutes, as it gets a little warmer, it's going to open up. And I'm going to get more of that coffee, more of that sweetness into it. It's going to be amazing as it goes over time.
You know the only thing to make that beer better?
What's that?
Outside of a porterhouse steak is a nice big fat Cuban cigar.
Oh my God.
It's a great cigar beer.
Yeah, I can see
cigar
it.
beer, dessert beer, steak beer.
Yeah, it gets to be good with chocolate. I could feel that. But it's warm. That's what I like about it. It'd be a good beer on, in Florida, we don't get a lot of cold, but like if you were in a cold weather, this would be a great beer to drink to make you feel warmer.
Absolutely. So. Last night I had a beer dinner up in Jacksonville, and we paired this beer with, they called it peaches and cream, but it was like a chocolate mousse with chopped up peaches in it with a little mint on top. And I was kind of like, that sounds weird, but I'm going to go with it, because that's part of craft beer. And what we do is experimenting with food and different things. And it was the most solid pairing of this beer I've had in a long, long, long time.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So
tell everybody a little bit real quick, a little bit about Goose Island and then where you can be found on the internet. Okay.
We can find us at gooseisland.com. Easy, look up our beers. We also have an app that you can find. I know it's on the iPhone. I'm not sure if it's on Androids, but you can just double check that Goose Island app where you can search for beers around your area. You can look up information on beers. You can look up events in your area. It's a pretty cool app. There's some virtual reality kind of stuff on there as well. So
there's a beer goggles in it for virtual reality?
Yeah, you can kind of like, if you can look at our brewery and kind of, move around and see what's in it.
That's
you can
cool.
go to our Elk Mountain Farms. We have in Bonners Ferry, Idaho is where all of our hops come from. They have a special section of their farm that's just for Goose Island.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
that's amazing.
We do a lot of cool events out there called glamping. People can go out there and have big tents with king-size beds in them.
I want to camp with hops.
I know, right? And they have a chef come out and they have an elk. And he just cuts that elk up all week long, and that's what
they said they brought an elk out, like they just drag it out like alive.
They walk him out and they slaughter him in front of everyone.
Hey, Skeevo, how you doing?
Welcome to glamping. Right. Meet Peter the elk. Poof. He's dinner now.
Man is in the wood.
All right, but yeah, it's a great beer. I'm really happy with it. It's amazing. Thank you so much for bringing in a sample. This is unreal good.
Cheers, fellas.
It's been really great having you in the studio with us because not only are you a beer aficionado, a beer fan, and a connoisseur, and you're representing and bringing us some amazing beer from Goose Island. You're a wrestling fan.
That's right.
Dude.
Absolutely
and
am.
you look like the guy from This Is Sparta, which is scaring the hell out of me right now. So I'll be nice to you this one.
He's got a little Bray Wyatt beard going, too.
I know, right? I just need to get the dreads going. After the wedding, I'm going all dreads.
So this week, we're talking about pay-per-views. We know last week we did Oversaturation, which is funny that we're doing pay-per-view this week. But this announcement this week that they're going to have 3 traditional Survivor Series matches, quote unquote, supposedly. Bringing it back to the way Survivor used to be when we first started, where there was like 5 or 6. That's all it was 5-on-5 matches. And it got the idea of what pay-per-views would you bring back? How would you modify them? What would you do to make great pay-per-views, especially with the brand extension is we have so many now, they have to make them unique. They have to be different to make me want to watch them every week, just besides the fact that I pick poorly and want to watch them anyways and can't pick winners for anything.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. But We took 5 that we'd like to see come back, and we're going to start off with JB's first pick, which is like a Cyber Sunday, Taboo Tuesday, basically interactive pay-per-view where the fans get to choose the matches, the stipulations, and stuff like that.
I've always been a fan of those. I don't know why they took them away, actually.
They got a lot of crap because people thought they weren't legitimate, and that was a lot of it. I know they were taking flag, but they were legitimately doing it that way, but they took a lot of crap.
They should. That's the one that I want to see brought back because it gives me as a fan the feel that I had a say in what really happened in the pay-per-view. I think it helps build interest because, like I said, obviously the fans are involved. And I don't know why they got rid of it, but I definitely hope at least they should test it on Raw, or SmackDown, and then see what kind of voting, how many people are involved in the process, and at least test it out, and then think about bringing it back.
Would you? Okay, if you're going to do it, let's say you're playing the booker, would you allow people to vote starting only at the pay-per-view, or would you let people start voting like maybe a week or so early, so that you have a whole week to vote?
I would build it for a month.
A month? You let them vote for a month?
The following Monday after say after October pay-per-view, say, so that next Monday you promote it.
And you start the first few matches.
Yeah, so we're gonna, they start to build towards it, and then 2 weeks out, you have your have your fans vote, and you have your matches booked, 2 weeks ahead of time.
Yeah,
give it a few 100,000 people a chance to vote on it.
200,000, come a million, I hope.
I let people book it too.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
I like the
match.
Idea,
this is who's in it. This is who's going to win.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, that would go a little too far.
Matches that give us matches that you don't normally do, so that way the fans are interested in it, and like I said, they feel like they
and then pick the stipulations or pick who's in it. Or something.
That's the one time a year that you can think outside the box.
Yeah.
And throw some matches out there that you don't normally do, that are kind of crazy. Maybe give fans a chance to to choose them and run with it. I mean, just have a fun pay-per-view. That's not too serious.
There used to be a pay-per-view that was all. I know the answer to this. I just can't remember the name of it. That were all the gimmick matches.
Well, Extreme Rules was kind of that way.
TLC maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm talking like
it was all hardcore matches.
I don't know about gimmick.
Like have a 4 corners match, and then have like a bull rope match, and then have like a.
Extreme Rules is about the closest they ever got to that, where every match had a stipulation of some type on it.
See, I think that would be kind of neat, something kind of unique.
But you could do the same. Yeah, that's his idea.
Yeah, but I don't want to go crazy with the whole extreme stuff. But yeah, I love that idea. I think that would be amazing. I just seem to remember maybe it was WCW. WCW seemed to be time for me to wake up. WCW just seemed to be.
Will everyone a beer?
That's right.
Actually, that was on my computer. That was the funny part. That was on my Mac.
Oh, that's funny. WCW to me just seemed to have a little bit more unique ideas when it came to the pay-per-view department.
Well, I think they had to be, and I think that's because they were struggling against the monster. Right. They felt like they had to stand out. And that's where like my next pick, which would be the Halloween Havoc pay-per-view, was always fun for that very reason. Because it was always a unique set. You usually had to do like a big cauldron or some kind of demon. They were always sponsored by Snickers, which was another great tie-in because what do you give out at Halloween but Snickers?
Apples.
With razor blades.
With razor blades.
You're the house that got egged. You gave out pennies and apples and you got egged, didn't you?
No. I give out Christian tracts.
Oh God!
Of how Halloween is of the devil.
But I think WWE could definitely do something fun with Halloween. You have it near the end, and I want to see it totally go all out, almost like a gimmick style. Go all out. Have literally the wrestlers dress up as other wrestlers to come out to do matches. Like one of my ideas, like have Zack Ryder be a Macho Man, or have the Club versus New Day. But have the New Day come out as a club and the club come out as New Day.
You want a big SNL skit for a pay-per-view, basically.
I mean, the match itself will be matches, but I think the fun of it would be to watch them try to figure out what they want to do and have the joy of it.
Have Shinsuke Nakamura come out as the demon.
Yeah, and then have
try to talk
and have a graveyard match.
Well, and then Finn Balor come out as Shinsuke and do the whole thing. But actually, he could. But I don't want Shinsuke talking. Because hi.
Icon.
Yeah. But I think it would be fun,
that was
though.
brutal.
You don't have to have all the matches be that way, but a couple of them, a couple goofy matches in there, and then you get. But I think it would be fun to have the old, Halloween, the stage, and have it all dressed up. You could have the announcers dressed up for Halloween. I mean, you could literally have a lot of fun with it.
That's where you bring back the casket matches,
Yeah,
buried alive matches.
Yes. It'd be fun. Be that the only way appropriate would be the casket matches.
Yeah.
It'd be fun though.
Who gets to dress up as the dead man?
Who gets to dress? Whoever wants to die.
Yeah, I mean, no, but who would dress up as the Undertaker? Big Cass.
Big Kaz. Yep. Jack Swagger.
They bring back Kevin Nash.
No, I think Cass comes back.
Cass.
So who does Enzo dress up as?
Shawn Michaels.
All right.
There you go.
Doink.
Doink the clown. Doink the clown. Oh my God.
Watch out with those clowns right now.
Yeah, but I think it would be fun though. Anyway, the other idea we had was bringing back War Games, an old WCW standby that has gone to the wayside. God, War Games was a fun match. It was, and you don't know what War Games was. Some people, it's been a while since they've had the match.
War Games originally came from the NWA.
Okay.
And then it got pulled into WCW, and that was usually during their Fall Brawl. Remember Fall Brawl?
Yep.
I was teasing the guys that I was thinking about bringing back Hog Wild live at
We're
Sturgis.
not bringing back live at Sturgis.
The only way I would do that is if Bischoff is calling the match with what's his face.
No.
DDP comes back.
Oh yeah.
Only
Bang.
if Jay Leno comes out. No.
Oh jeez.
No. Yeah, and
No.
who was the guy that called the matches? Tony Schiavone.
Oh, Schiavone.
Oh my God, Schiavone.
But the idea of War Games is a double ring side by side,
Right.
surrounded by one giant cage, and everybody would start in one ring and somehow end up in the other ring, which I never quite understood those rules completely. But
This fight's so big, it
It's
can't be
so
contained to
big.
one ring.
But it was always fun, and it was always the Horsemen versus whoever.
Right.
It didn't matter if the Horsemen were heel or face that year. It was always the Horsemen versus But it produced some great matches, some really fun stuff, and it would be interesting on TV.
Yeah, I think that it would be very interesting. They've already got, they've got Hell in the Cell that they do every year. I would like to see them do more with Elimination Chamber.
It's coming back.
They talked about it coming back. Could you imagine War Games in a dual Elimination Chamber?
That would be sick. But you got to have.
What are you gonna have a hamster tube between them?
You got to have a faction though.
Yeah,
You can't do that because you gotta have really strong rivalries.
No, you do
to pull
Raw
that
versus
off.
SmackDown. That's all you need for War Games is Raw versus SmackDown.
But there's not going to be any build up because they don't have any interaction because they're on separate shows.
Yeah, that's kind of what
Like
we're
you
talking
put
about.
them in a cage because they hated each other. Like you had to see blood. You wanted to see somebody bleed in matches like that.
That's
I want
the
to see
problem with
Ruru bleed.
Well, that's what the struggle that they're having right now with what they're talking about with Survivor Series. They even talked about it on the show. Are heels and faces going to be able to get along and be on the same team? And then JBL's like, yeah, I hated those guys, but I love my show more, and nobody from SmackDown was going to tell me what to do and all that. Like horse pucky, they're not going to do that. They don't have any strong factions. They have the Wyatt family split them up. The New Day is the strongest thing they've got going. It's the closest thing to a faction that we've got.
Well, that's why the Bullet Club is. You come in some form, in some way, and they're not going to do it. It seems like, even though AJ and the Bullet Club are wearing the same icon on their tights, but yeah, I know Shinsuke. Yeah. Icon.
Or the Return of Balor.
Or the Return of Balor.
Yeah.
But again, I think War Games would be fun because it would be visually amazing, especially with the the TV and the way you can do it now, and you could shoot down on top of the cage the way you couldn't do before with the new HD cameras and stuff like that. It'd be fun to watch how they develop it. And the dual ring is interesting because wasn't there like rules where like you started in one ring and then you got thrown to the other ring, but then you waited there for somebody else to show up. It wasn't like the match started in both rings, right? Wasn't there some weird?
No, I think it was you started in one that spilled over into the other one.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, it could get monotonous after a while.
Well, it's sort of like Hell in the Cell with double rings, but again, if you have a good faction, you have a good storyline, it would make it worth it. But again, it's developing that. You guys are right, totally. That it needs something to make it happen.
What was I think it was the WCW pay-per-view where they had the cage and then another cage on top and then another cage on top, and it tied into that stupid movie that just came out.
Yeah, that was the 3 levels of hell or something like that.
It looked like it could have been really cool, but I think it was a bomb, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was.
If you could revamp that'd be kind of cool to see something.
Yeah, that's TNA pay-per-view, the company that won't be mentioned, did something like that too, where they had like a match. They had to, their old King of the Mountain
ring.
They had the old King of the Mountain match was like that, where it was like different levels. You had to do different things, but it was weird. But yeah, the only problem with those is that it does become kind of strange because you know where it's going to go. So you're only really interested in the match once they get to the final level. The first two levels really don't matter because you know they've got to get past that to get to that point.
Yeah,
there's no interest in it. You'd watch it go,
Well, I remember some of those guys were talking about those matches because they were terrified because, it was scaffolding on top of scaffolding, and you get up to the top and you're almost in the rafters of the building and the scaffolding's just shaking and you're having to do moves on that scaffolding, and it's like that scaffolding's not designed to take a bump.
Well, the old scaffolding matches were scary. You watch those now on YouTube and stuff like that? Like the Chi-Town matches and stuff like that. There's some scary stuff in those matches. Like you don't know how they survive.
Well, you watch some of that old ECW stuff.
Oh yeah, it was scary, freaky scary.
No, I was just agreeing. Yeah, I've watched some of that in the past, and even worse if you ever watched anything from CZW.
Yeah,
oh, they're crazy.
Ooh, these guys are nuts. Home with Dean Ambrose. That's where
that's right. That's right.
I'd like to see them bring like I hate to say this because I'll probably watch way too much Japanese wrestling, but like a death match.
You want electrified barbed wire?
Heck yeah, why not?
Any explosives?
Once a year, once every decade, maybe do something crazy.
Okay, but
like
again,
Extreme Rules.
If you're going to do that, though, you need the right two guys. Now, there may be the right two guys. I think AJ and Dean Ambrose may be the right two guys for a match like that.
I don't think AJ is going to do that. Dean might, but I don't think AJ is going to.
Dean's crazy.
But I think they're the right size, the right temperament, the right people to do a match like that. Like you can't even be big and bulky in a match like that because it makes no sense. But you don't want somebody super small, but they're just going to bounce around. You need somebody that's sort of that middle, and I think AJ and Dean, or an AJ and Finn Balor.
Sami Zayn.
You mean the ultimate jobber, Sami Zayn?
Oh, stop it. I'm a fan.
I'm sorry. No, I love him too. But I feel like all he does now is come out and go, I'm going to team with Neville this week.
I think Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins would
be good.
Match
that would be amazing. That would be good. Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. That would be good.
Yeah, he's a little bulky, but
who?
Kevin Owens.
I don't think he's too bulky enough.
Okay.
All right.
He's got the agility of a cat.
He can pounce at any time.
A large cat, Tabby. A Tabby? Overweight.
What do you think? He's Garfield? Are you saying Kevin Owens is Garfield? Does he like lasagna?
Yes.
You know what he's got, though?
He's got
it.
That's right.
All right, so another idea I'd like to bring. I like to bring back the old WCW Lethal Lottery. And if you don't know what Lethal Lottery was the WCW idea where they would bring random guys together with a completely random poll. Like guys would just show up and that would be your partner.
You mean like James Ellsworth?
Yeah, exactly. So people would just have, and a lot of times it was obviously bringing people together that were currently feuding. And it was always Sting and Flair were in it in some way. They were a tag team together. But I want to see it either you could do it with a brand extension where you could do it over multiple pay-per-views leading up to something. But I always want to see it where the match, whoever won that tag team tournament, then they wrestled to be the number one contender for the championship. Like, I think that's a good build up to it, is you're giving it something to go. And I think it'd be a great summer series where you could do it starting in June, have it run all summer and end at SummerSlam. They have the final match for the tournament be at SummerSlam, and then the following SmackDown or Raw, those guys wrestle to lead into the fall rivalry. But it gives you interesting combinations, because you could do a Seth Rollins and a Kevin Owens together as a team, and how do they function, or do they explode? Or you put random people together that'll eventually become a feud. It almost builds in storylines that it'll just happen. Like you could have, I'm trying to think random. Sami Zayn and, Neville in a tag team who are friends. Maybe Neville turns heel at some point because they lose. So then you have a natural storyline that builds off that to help build the entire rest of the summer through if they lose early enough. So it really does sort of build storylines. Nothing? You got nothing. You got nothing to say on this.
Well, I do, but
it's like, no, I got nothing.
I would like to see more of that logical booking in all these pay-per-views. Everything that we're talking about, it comes back to logic. I would like to see more pay-per-views where there's consequences, because right now it's just pay-per-view to pay-per-view. And then only after the first of the year do we start the road to WrestleMania, and then that's when they start mattering. And the Royal Rumble, and whoever wins the Royal Rumble gets a shot at the main event, unless you're Roman Reigns 2 years ago. And then they could do whatever the hell they want to. And what I would love to see is do your concept moreover, to where everything's leading up to WrestleMania, and then like everything's leading up to SummerSlam, and then
the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
almost like 3 seasons in the year where
3 or 4. Yeah, the big 4 pay-per-views.
Yeah,
So why not?
but I do agree with you. I do think that there needs to be more flow, because there used to be that way. It used to be where like you would have rematches at pay-per-views because that was the only way they would wrestle each other is at the pay-per-view, and now you get that on Raw. They'll wrestle on the pay-per-view, and the next night they wrestle on Raw. Whereas before it would have been, well, now it would be 2 weeks later because that's whenever pay-per-view is. But that's beside the point to begin with. But yeah, I agree with that.
That idea would be good. It's a good way to build up your mid-carders, though.
Oh, yeah.
It would give them something to do. And like you said, you could kind of see, you could throw people together and see if you catch lightning in a bottle, and you could have a tag team.
Cesaro and Sheamus.
I mean, like eventually they're going to, I think they have great potential, off topic, but I think they're going to have good potential down the road. But you can see, see what kind of combinations work and kind of build off of that down the road. But you got people now that aren't even on pay-per-views, and you're just kind of wasting your mid-card, and you're only really building around, 2 matches really per pay-per-view or getting all the TV time. So it's I think that would be a good way to build them up.
Well, that, and also, again, it gives you storyline. It actually helps the writers out because it gives you long-term storylines. You're not writing, like Ira said, you're not writing for 2 weeks. You're writing for like 8. So it's a lot easier for you to say, okay, I've got these 12 good ideas. I'm going to do 6 of them and then save the other 6 for something else. But it's building where now I do feel like they're rushed. And that's where some of these people you're talking about, Halloween Havoc, even like a Halloween Havoc or something like that, or even a Cyber Sunday, it almost gives the writers a week off on that pay-per-view because the pay-per-view sort of writes itself. That's why like a Cyber Sunday, I like that idea because it's the fans picking. It's not dependent on the creative. It's more dependent on, okay, here's the idea and now run with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it lets the guys be more creative because like I said, if you did like a Cyber Sunday, they would have maybe 20 minutes to develop the match. So then the wrestlers would have to be good on it. But I think they'd like that they're not being as scripted. They're being told, here's your match, here's what's going on, have a nice day.
Are they not doing Money in the Bank this year?
I think so. Yeah, they're doing Money in the Bank.
So who's doing it? Is that a joint pay-per-view or is that
I don't think so. I think it's going to be one. I don't know how they're going to do it. It's probably going to be Raw. Unless they
What's the 4 pay-per-views?
So you got SummerSlam, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and
Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Those are the big 4. Everything else is separate. They haven't really announced how they can do that. Now, I did read a rumor a while ago that there may be 2 Money in the Bank matches, but one will take place on a pay-per-view for that brand, and the other one will take place on one of the shows that week. So there still may be 2 briefcases.
Right.
But it'll be like, that'll be kind of how they'll do it.
But can one briefcase cross over to take over the other champion?
No, because that's the thing is I've already heard for the Rumble this year, it used to be when they had the brand split originally, the Rumble was whoever wins the Rumble gets to wrestle for the title of their choosing.
Right.
Which is about how Edge won his, I think it was Edge who won his, wasn't he? And then he challenged for a different company and he switched brands on them. Well, this year I already heard the Rumble, if you win, you're wrestling for your brand's title. You can't pick which one you want to go for. So they're really getting locked down on that idea.
I'll tell you a pay-per-view I'd like to see brought back.
Yes.
Totally off the top of my head is Breaking Ground. Oh, excuse me, Breaking Point.
Breaking Point. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it was in some of the research that I found one that I really I'd forgotten about. But in 2009, it was a pay-per-view called Breaking Point, and the whole thing was every match had to be won by a submission.
Oh,
in the days of high intensity wrestling that we have in our sports entertainment world, could you imagine having a pay-per-view based solely on submission wrestling?
That'd be interesting.
Imagine what that would be like if it was a joint pay-per-view? That's
the one where it was that John Cena versus Randy Orton, and he had him handcuffed and was hitting him in the stomach with a kendo stick.
Ooh, maybe.
Ooh, I don't know, but that's
kind of
brutal.
An
interesting idea, though. I like that idea because you're taking the guys who submission wrestlers, giving them an advantage which they normally don't have, and then you're making guys that normally aren't submission wrestlers, like a Kevin Owens or somebody like that, and making them come up with a submission move.
Right.
I like that idea. I really do like that idea.
His would be the headlock.
Yes, it would be the headlock, and then the headlock.
Yeah.
Dean's would be
the armbar.
Dean's would be the lunatic clothesline over and over again until you submit. He would just keep running off the ring, bouncing in, and running back in.
The lunatic lariat.
The lunatic lariat.
That's what that's
and over and over again until you just submit.
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 Oh,
take any more of your armpit in my face.
I can't take your elbow anymore. Your armpit stinks. Deodorant. Would you not wear deodorant for that pay-per-view? for an extra advantage.
Oh yeah, no, heck no.
You want to
be stinky.
and have like, oh, you have the stink face submission. There you go.
Oh,
Just somebody's, you can have who's big butt. You get Roman Reigns' big butt in your face.
yikes!
Imagine Roman Reigns. Now, see, there we get in the problem then. You're talking about an all submission pay per view. Then you have people like Roman Reigns who I'm not sure know a submission move.
Good, he can lose.
He's gonna.
Oh, love this guy.
We love you.
This guy.
We hate Roman Reigns here, but we love you and we'd love to have you on the show. But I'm not quite sure how he would do it because I don't.
Only if he has his blue contacts in.
Oh, I don't think doing the. Can you do it? Is the Superman set up a submission? Can you grab somebody else's arm and just rub it up and down until they submit?
You're doing that far too well, buddy. It's a good thing this isn't a video podcast.
Could you just run up to here? I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna rub your wrist up and down real fast till you submit.
Brought to you by Stroking to the East.
But I'm just wondering. But that's the thing is that's why they won't do a pay-per-view like that because there's certain guys that just couldn't do it.
Right.
But then you have guys like Sheamus, Cesaro, AJ, Dean that could do amazing matches like that. But yeah.
Well, you lean it towards those guys. I mean, yeah, you've got your big studs, but you either teach them how to do a submission move.
Studs. You just said the word big studs?
Yeah.
Are you thinking of Ruru?
Yeah.
Let's take it back to Big John.
Big John Stud.
Big John Stud.
I hated that game. I hated that guy. I hated that gimmick.
$1 million Body Slam Challenge.
Yeah, buddy.
That's right. So.
But what I'm just saying, you either teach your stars how to do a submission hold. Cena's got one. Ruru's got one.
Ruru's got one. AJ's got one.
AJ's got one. Seth Rollins.
Yeah, they all have. A lot of them have them.
Roman Reigns is the only one I can't think of. Has got.
Yeah, but I think Kevin Owens has got one. They didn't use it a lot, but he's used it before in some ways.
So I think that would be a very interesting pay per view. For the men and the women's side, the cruiserweights all have submission moves.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be nice. We don't never talk about the cruiserweight.
As long as they choreograph it.
As long as they choreograph it.
The other big pay-per-view we want to bring back, I think it's a big one for all of us, is we want to see bring back King of the Ring in its true form.
Yeah.
A multi-show tournament leading up to at least 2, if not 3 rounds on the pay-per-view itself to determine the new King of the Ring.
Right. I think the best way to do it is have one bracket all SmackDown, one bracket all Raw. They fight their way to the top, and then you have your SmackDown representative and your Raw representative, and then you find out who the King of the Ring is of the 2 brands.
You know what the King of Beers right now for me is? This is Bourbon County.
Don't say
Trademark
King of Beers.
infringement.
From Goose Island.
Don't say King of Beers.
Trademark infringement.
Sorry, Uncle Bud.
Oh, Uncle Bud. Oh, this beer is so
If you're
good.
listening from Goose Island,
This beer is so
we've
good.
killed the beer, so we're all pretty much stoked right now. So
I have to find more of this. I'm gonna hunt this down. I had to have 6 or 7
only
bottles.
you knew somebody that worked there.
I may know the guy that allocates this beer out to certain accounts.
Yeah, I need some of this
for Black Friday.
Yeah, I need some of
or
this.
Thanksgiving Eve.
Yes, please. I definitely need to get a lot of this because this stuff is crazy good. We're gonna start. We're just gonna give him money before he leaves. God, this beer is so good. We love stouts. JB is getting more into stouts because of Irish and I, but this is a really good
education
stout.
continues.
Oh, it's a beautiful beer. Sweet.
This sucker will knock you down, man.
Oh no! So
for the light beer
In the most
drinker
pleasant
that
way.
I am, is to take some getting used to, but I like the taste though.
But we want to see King of the Ring come back. King of the Ring was a great tournament. It produced arguably one of the biggest stars of the last decade in Stone Cold. I mean, everyone remembers
Triple H too.
Triple H.
Yeah.
But I mean, Stone Cold, his legacy was formed in that one moment of, Austin 316 just said, I whipped your ass. I mean, that was that moment started the Attitude Era in so many ways. And it's sad that I'm not saying sad because it was Wade Barrett, but the last champion was Wade Barrett, was the King of the Ring, and they completely squandered it.
King of the Ring, do not put them in a stupid crown and cape.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Hate it.
King Ross, we're looking at you, buddy.
I want to see a tiara. I just want to see a little tiara, a little diamond on top, where they can walk around going, I'm King of the Ring. I agree with you. It should be something, but they got to give him something, but you just give him a moniker. It doesn't have to be something physical. It can just be a moniker.
I wouldn't even do that, man. Just the label, I think, is enough to me. Because, I mean, did Stone Cold ever have a stupid crown and scepter?
No, but then I think back to, and this is the old days, and now it wouldn't work, but you remember the old days when they had King of the Ring, like King Haku and stuff like that was fun when he spent the year.
Some of those worked, and like Booker T, King Booker, that worked.
Oh yeah, King Booker was huge.
King Booker.
Wasn't Randy Savage King of the Ring
Macho
once?
King? Oh, Macho King. Yeah, that was one of the best kings ever. Was
and
Macho
that's
King.
where you have to have a wrestler that's really going to embrace it. Like
I'm the Macho King.
Macho King.
Oh, me and Sherry, the Macho King. Yeah,
With Scary Sherry, right?
Yeah, that's right. He has me with Sherry, and he walked around with the scepter, and he had the crown, and the crown had a giant, like, huge shield on the front of it. They would beat the crap out
And
of
if
you
you're
with.
going to do it, you have to go all in. And I don't think Barrett went all in. And who was the King of the Ring before that? Oh, it was Sheamus, right?
Yeah, it was Sheamus.
He didn't really go all in with it.
Well, it was. I don't think they allowed him to. I really think it was a matter of they just didn't sell it enough. And I think if you're going to do it, again, I want to see a reason for it. Like, I don't want to just see I'm King of the Ring for a year. I want to see when you win, you get this down the road. Like, it doesn't need a Money in the Bank contract or something, but you get, okay, you're now number one contender, or you're this, or you're that. You're something. There's reason for it, and it leads into storylines.
Maybe that's the match where the winner can, if it's Raw or SmackDown, they have the choice to fight one of the other champions.
Yeah,
you know,
Good idea.
yeah, or steal the belt for their brand.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That's what I want to see more of. I want to see more interaction. That would be fun.
I do, but at some point it gets a little too convoluted. You know,
Convoluted.
But I was listening, and you guys do all the words, right?
Yes, we do.
Good call.
Usually not this late in the show, though.
It's the Bourbon County. It's making
Bourbon
me
County.
smarter.
But no, I mean, there's some really good ideas out there, especially with the brand extension. Is they're going to have to come up with ideas because as much as like No Mercy and all that stuff is fun, No Mercy. There's no.
He does listen to the show.
I know.
Well, I do it at home too. Like
No Mercy.
I do want to see more gimmicky pay-per-views because it does keep it interesting. If you're going to have what we counted 20 pay-per-views in a year, 19, you got to make something fun out of it. I can't take 19 shows of the same matches over and over and over and over and over. I can't take Ruru and Roman Reigns 35 times in a year. I'm sorry. I need to have a reason. If you're going to put them in a dress and have them have a bra and panty match, I'm fine with that.
I think you could take.
what just happened?
JV's losing his mind. I want him. You don't want to see Rusev and
my eyes. Oh my god!
I'm thinking of Briscoe and
What
Pat
just
Patterson
happened
and
here?
I
late.
think you're thinking about Briscoe and Pat Patterson a little too much.
But I'm
buddy.
thinking,
We just took a
Rusev
left
and
turn,
Roman
ladies and
Reigns and a
gentlemen.
bra and panty match. The
Oh
divas
my-
ain't going to do it. The ladies ain't going to do it.
That's
You
anymore.
need to stop and
That's
start watching
13%
ballet.
talking right
That's-
there, ladies and gentlemen.
How about a pay-per-view? And I know that we have certain rules we have to apply because nobody's going to watch a pay-per-view if big stars aren't on it. But what if we did a pay-per-view based solely on the mid-carders? And the whole... You're already shaking your head.
He's shaking it. You're
worse than my wife. Let me get it out first before you say hell no to the idea.
Whoa. That was inappropriate.
I apologize.
Anyways.
What
okay.
if we had a pay-per-view based on... Let me get it out before you poo-poo it, literally. What if we had a pay-per-view based on the mid-carders?
Poo?
And when you won your match... See, right here is when I start getting pissed. Every match on the card was whoever wins the match gets a title shot.
Ooh.
Every match?
No.
Why not?
7 title shots.
Yeah, 7. How many times do you have floating around?
Well, no, you only have a few matches.
What do you have? 2 matches on the pay-per-view?
No, you have you have
A tag?
You have what? 3 belts. You have the championship. You have the IC, and maybe you have another belt.
You got
have
a
the women's
cruiserweight
match.
and two mid or
Yeah, but it's not going to be a joint pay-per-view. It's going to be one show.
Yeah,
Okay, so you have an individual belt. You have a main event world title. You have either US/Intercontinental, and you have a tag team. You have 3 matches.
4 women's.
Okay, women's.
And then
4.
then if you have to bring your big boys in, you can have the championship wrestle, and then they can do their deal, and then you can have the women's match wrestle. And they can
I don't
do
mind
their
that
deal.
concept, but how are you going to sell that to the fans? Like,
Well,
why am I going to pay?
SmackDown is the show of opportunity.
No, but I mean, like, how are you going to sell me that I'm going to pay $100+ for a ringside seat for a mid card pay per view? That's the problem they're going to have. Is the branding.
You're damn near getting that anyway.
What I mean, like,
but but the guys and girls are wrestling. It's like it's the whole premise behind the briefcase match.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. Thinking outside the box with that. I'm thinking like as far as ratings, ticket sales type of thing. Like
you're thinking it would be the network for $9.99 a month.
It'd be hard for them to sell that pay-per-view to get people into the arena if they don't get to see, Cena, AJ.
Now, see, I disagree with that. I think a live show, I think people will show up. I think your more problem is people watching the network.
Maybe that's the kind of show where they do kind of like Roadblock, where it's a live show, but they put it on the pay-per-view, which I thought was cock. But just the whole look of it looks cool. It looks raw,
like an indie show.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, that's why like the old Takeover when they were first started doing NXT takeovers, and they did some of the specials. You're right; it looked more like a house show. They just happened to have a camera in, right. And that would be cool to do that. Or you could do that. You could do the pay-per-view that you're talking about, but sell it that way. Be like, it's not all the glitz and glam. We don't have the full stage. It's almost like I don't want to put it like a torn down pay-per-view. Like it's not. It's special. It's unique. It's, I'm trying to think how to put it.
Bare bones.
Bare bones. Yeah, bare bones.
I think with a show like that, you're going to get the wrestling fans, like the families out there, not the fair weather that watches when it's on. You're going to get like the four of us and like three other guys.
They can't all be winners.
Maybe a girl.
Maybe one girl.
Maybe a girl.
My future wife will come because I'll make her.
Okay. No, it's interesting ideas.
I'm just kidding.
What pay-per-views would you like to see? Tell us about it. If you have any ideas that you think would be good pay-per-views, tell us about it on Facebook. And you can follow us on Facebook at Beers and Bodyslams Podcast. You can tell us what you think of pay-per-views also on Twitter at Beers Bodyslams, because we were too drunk on Bourbon County to remember the word and.
It hit you.
It does hit you, man. It just kind of slowed me down. I can feel it.
I just want to take a nap and be happy right now.
I'm just like, wow, I'm feeling really good. When you're looking to put your beer down,
stupid beer,
make sure you put it down on a Vintage Pressing coasters. VintagePressing.com. They have coasters. They have phone cases, luggage tags, and much more that you can buy. They support us so we can bring you this stupidity every single week.
Your beer is so dumb, it needs a coaster. Definitely find us over on what am I pumping here?
High Spots.
You pointed to me. Okay,
High Spots. I think
Mike, you pointed at me. I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
High Spots.
You can also visit our friends over on High Spots. HighSpots.com is your home for shoot videos and pro wrestling videos, as well as pro grade gear, lucha mask. But what we'd like for you to do is to come over to the beersandbodyslams.com website, click on the High Spots link, and what happens is whatever you purchase, High Spots is going to kick back a few pennies for us. That helps keep the show going. It doesn't cost you any more, and we would really appreciate that. As well as we also have an Amazon link. You do the exact same thing.
Yay!
Amazon kicks back a few pennies for us, and we appreciate that. And if you'd like to follow what we're drinking, not only can you listen to us on the show, but you can follow what we're all drinking on the Untapped app, which is available on iOS. I'm pretty sure it's available on Android as well. Yep. You can follow me at the Irish O'Leary.
You can follow me at Good OLJB.
And you can slowly watch me kill myself at Mr. Fluffy. I like to thank Brian from Goose Island Beer Company for bringing us amazing beer today.
Cheers to you, my friend.
Fellas, thanks for having me.
You are more than welcome to come back anytime and bring beer. We might let you talk sometime too.
Or don't bring beer, just come back. It was great.
I appreciate it.
No, we've had a good time. But make sure you tune in next week for our normal show. We'll break down Raw and SmackDown. And as always, keep your pint glasses full and your body slammed stiff.
You've been listening to the Beers and Body Slams podcast. Find us online at beersandbodyslams.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/Beers and Body Slams podcast. Until next time.
Have a nice day.